Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Trek Mission Log. My name is Jason Gilbert. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching these videos. And if this is your first time here, you're checking this out, welcome to you as well. And what I do here is review Star Trek episodes. Yep, that's right, I am channeling my inner geek. I'm proud of it. And we're going through each Star Trek series and film, and currently we are in the second season of the original series. If you like this content, would you please go ahead and hit that subscribe button? It would really mean a lot to me. It would help this channel out immensely. And also, please feel free to give it a like as well. I also want to apologize for a couple of things ahead of time. First and foremost, I'm streaming. I live in Canada, and we have fires burning all over the place. In the province of Ontario, way up in northern Ontario, there's fires. There's fires in Quebec, in Alberta, in Nova Scotia, and other places as well. And so the air has not been that great as smoke has moved into the area, and it's really all over the place. I've heard it's as far down as South Carolina, or even further. So if you hear me coughing or my throat gets a little, if I have a little wheeze in my breath or whatever, you know that that's what that's from, okay? So just so you know that. And also, as I mentioned last week, I had to switch streaming services because the one I was originally subscribed to dropped all their Star Trek content, which was wonderful news. So I switched services, and then I discovered that when I try to take a screenshot on my computer, it quite often brings up the status bar, and so you will see those in the photos that I have on here, and I apologize for that. So today we're going to look at the original series, Season 2, Episode 20, titled Return to Tomorrow. It was released on February the 9th, 1968. It was written by John T. Duggan, directed by Ralph Senensky, and produced by John Meredith Lucas. So check out this piece of Trek trivia, and then we'll come back and dive right in. The Enterprise's distress signal relays have been activated, and they are racing toward an unknown person or thing. Sulu is back at the helm. Spock has no idea who or what is trying to summon them. All he knows is that they are far into uncharted territory. Suddenly, Sulu picks up a planet straight ahead. It is a Class M planet, which means Earth-type atmosphere, but its atmosphere had been destroyed by a cataclysm in the past. Kirk wants to know who summoned them. Suddenly, a voice is heard and introduces itself as Sargon. He summoned them there. The planet is dead, and Sargon is as dead as his planet. If the Enterprise does not listen, Sargon said that the whole universe could possibly suffer the same fate. We then fade into the title sequence. When we come back, Kirk makes a log entry and has Uhura send it to Starfleet. It will take 3 weeks for the message to get there. Spock then picks up energy from deep within the planet. Sargon said, "Your probes have touched me. The energy is 100 miles below the planet's surface." And he said he would make it possible for their transporters to reach that far. Kirk summons McCoy with standard landing party equipment. Spock wants to go with, but Kirk said that they cannot risk the two of them being killed. All of a sudden, the ship lost its power. Kirk said that maybe Sargon would like him to go, and then the power came back on. Now, in the transporter room, McCoy is upset that he has no idea what's going on. Kirk and Scotty conjecture as to who or what this is. And then we are introduced to an astrobiologist named Dr. Anne Mulhall. And she definitely grabs Kirk's attention. Kirk does not recognize her, and he asked who told her to come with them. She said that she wasn't sure, but assures him that she was ordered to be there. Spock suggests that Sargon ordered her there. So Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and Mulhall step onto the transporter pad with 2 guards. Sargon takes control of the transporter and transports 4 of them, leaving the 2 guards behind on the ship. On the planet, they notice right away that the guards didn't come with. Scotty then summons the captain by communicator, and Kirk orders him to maintain alert. As the landing party talk amongst themselves about the oxygen and the walls, one of the walls opens and leads them to another chamber where they see this. Sargon is speaking to them through that orb. Sargon said that the essence of his mind is in this receptacle. They once had bodies like the landing party. Sargon keeps calling them my children, and Kirk asks about that. Sargon said it is possible that they are descendants of this planet. He explained that 6,000 centuries ago, their people explored the galaxy and left people on planets to start populations. It is possible that Adam and Eve came from that planet. All right, but a war between their people happened that changed everything. Kirk said that Earth had similar conflicts. Sargon said that their one final conflict was coming. It happened to them because their minds became so powerful that they dared to think of themselves as gods. Kirk said to Sargon, you called us for help. How can we help you? Suddenly, Sargon takes over Kirk's body. Spock asked him what he wants with them. Sargon said that in the next room there are 2 more receptacles, and they must have Dr. Mulhall and Mr. Spock's bodies as well so that they can live again. As Sargon led them to the next room, he explained to the landing party that their conflict forced them to build this chamber to house their essences. 2 were stored in a different room, his wife Thalassa and his friend Henoch, and he remained out in the main room probing the universe with his mind, because he knew that one day other cultures would achieve space travel, and finally, after millions of years, his mind reached their ship. He said that they wanted to temporarily use their bodies so that they could build mechanical androids that will house them. The problem is, Kirk's body is overheating because of the takeover. His metabolism and heart rate is high. And before his body reached the limits, Sargon left Kirk and returned to the receptacle. When Kirk came to, he said he knows what Sargon wants and is not afraid. Sargon told him to go back to the ship and talk it over. All must be in agreement, and if they decide not to help, they may leave in peace. So back on the ship, the 4 members of the landing party, along with Scotty, are having a heated discussion. Kirk and Mulhall want to go along with this because it will not only help the minds that are trapped in this planet, but it will offer advancement and knowledge for humanity, which could propel them forward by 10,000 years. Scotty and McCoy are at first against it. Scotty eventually comes around and agrees. McCoy wants to know why they want to do it, because the danger is so great. Kirk then proceeds to deliver an incredible diatribe about how humans learned to fly out of necessity, how they went to the moon, then to Mars, and then to the nearest star. He said risk is part of who we are, and Kirk is willing to accept that risk for the pursuit of knowledge. After the speech, all were in favor, and then Kirk orders Scotty to prepare to receive the 3 receptacles. In sickbay, McCoy and Chapel are ready to monitor the transference of the minds into Kirk, Spock, and Mulhall. The transference takes place. They all come to Spock, housed by the mind of his receptacle mind named Henoch, is very pleased to see Chapel and begins flirting with her. Sargon's wife, Thalassa, wakes up in the body of Dr. Mulhall, and she sees her husband in Kirk's body, and, well, you know, Henoch looks very displeased at that. He interrupts and says that he has received the best of the three bodies as it is stronger and has better hearing. Suddenly, Sargon and Thalassa begin showing signs that they are going to faint. Their host bodies are having trouble handling the transference. Sargon told McCoy that they can give these bodies a metabolic reduction injection. Henoch said that he would prepare the injections. Sargon and Thalassa vacate Kirk and Mulhall's bodies, and Henoch asked for Chapel's assistance. In the pharmacology lab, Henoch gives 3 hyposprays to Chapel. The first is marked for Thalassa, the second is marked for him, the third is marked for Sargon. Chapel notices that Sargon's injection does not have the same substance. She said if Kirk doesn't receive the same formula, that he would die. Henoch then used a mind control technique to get her to do his will. He said that Sargon would not allow him to keep this body, so he needs Kirk to be killed so that Sargon can die with him. Work has begun on the android bodies that will house these minds. Sargon and his wife Thalassa are working together. Henoch walks in and tells them to enjoy life in these bodies while they can, because in 2 days they will house lifeless android bodies without feeling. Sargon admitted that that was true, but they can walk with the living and help teach them to not make the same mistakes they did. Suddenly, Sargon looks faint. He said his injection is running out and he leaves. Henoch leaves, and Thalassa looks at Henoch with suspicious eyes. Chapel is looking over the hyposprays and she notices that something is not right, but she can't put her finger on it. Thalassa and Scotty are going over schematics and such for the android bodies when Henoch walks in and asks the engineer to stop wasting their time. Henoch then tells Thalassa that Sargon has closed his mind to a better way with these bodies. She indicated to him that she hates the thought of being in an android body and then leaves crying. Henoch smiles. Thalassa walks in on Sargon, who's looking very weak. She tries to persuade him to keep these bodies. He then stands and falls to the floor as McCoy and Chapel walk in. After a few moments of scanning and trying to awaken him, McCoy pronounces him dead. In sickbay, McCoy is trying to decipher the situation. Sargon is dead because when Kirk died, the body was too far from the receptacle for Sargon to transfer. As for Kirk, his body is dead, but his mind is still very much alive inside the receptacle. McCoy was able to get the body's vitals up, and he said he could keep it that way for a month, but then what? He has no way of transferring Kirk's mind back to his body. Meanwhile, Zenoch is working on the android and told Thalassa that it is ready for her to go in. She said that she refuses to live in that. She then goes to sickbay and offers to help McCoy save the captain. She says that she has powers that Sargon always refused to let them use, and that she has the power to save Kirk. All that she requires is that McCoy stay quiet while she remain in the body of Mulhall. McCoy now has a tough choice, and without hesitation, He refuses, and he said that he would not be a peddler of flesh. She said that he should be on his knees worshiping her, and she then uses her powers to torture him. After a moment, she stops, and she said that the temptation to use her power is too great, and she asked for McCoy's forgiveness. Suddenly, Sargon's voice is heard, and he said that he is pleased with her. Sargon, without Henoch's knowledge, has put his consciousness into the Enterprise itself. Chapel comes in, and Thalassa asks McCoy to leave. Suddenly, Chapel leaves, having been taken over. McCoy walks back in, and Kirk is alive. Also, Thalassa has left Mulhall. Their consciences are in the ship. McCoy notices that all 3 receptacles have been destroyed. Spock's consciousness is now dead. Kirk ordered McCoy to ready a hypo strong enough to kill a Vulcan. Henoch has gone to the ship. He has inflicted pain on Uhura. Kirk, Mulhall, and McCoy come to the bridge. Henoch gives them pain as well, and as McCoy was about to give him the hypo, Henoch made him freeze. He ordered Chapel to take it from him and inject McCoy. She turned around and injected Henoch. Unfortunately, Spock's body died. As Kirk goes to mourn over his friend, Sargon's voice said he cannot allow one so close to Kirk to be taken away, and he restores life to Spock and releases Chapel. He then says that it is too dangerous to live among them, so that they must fade away to oblivion. Kirk asked if there's anything they could do to help. Sargon asked to house their bodies one last time, so that he and his wife can properly say goodbye. Kirk and Mulhall quickly volunteer to let that happen, and well, you know, even when taken over by aliens, Kirk is the man. With everybody safe, the Enterprise sails away. That is the story of Return to Tomorrow. I really enjoyed rewatching this episode. It was another great science fiction story that had a lot of great elements to it and only a couple of weak spots. The first face we see is Sulu. Great to see him. However, that's pretty much it. It was almost as if he were there to remind the fans that Sulu is still the main helmsman. The story begins in mystery. Someone or something has triggered their distress signal. However, they are further into space than any known vessel has ever been. So that means that everything they encounter will be completely new, and they won't know how to deal with it. I really like that aspect about this. When they do finally meet Sargon, they discover that it is his essence, his mind that they are communicating with, and their request is unique. They wanted to temporarily house the bodies of Kirk, Spock, and Mulhall so that they could build androids to live in. Mulhall was played by Diana Muldaur, who of course is familiar to us as Dr. Pulaski on Star Trek The Next Generation. She was wearing a red uniform, so her life was in danger the whole episode. Now, I have no issues with her in this episode. I just wish that they would have used Uhura instead. Oh well. Another thing that was cool was that the red-shirted security men were excluded from the transporter by the aliens. See, Sargon knew that they did not have a long lifespan, so really it was an act of mercy. The question is it okay to have your mind taken out of you while someone else's mind gets housed in you? Down on the planet, Sargon took over Kirk without his permission, and admittedly it was somehow disturbing. However, when he transferred Kirk's mind back into his body, Kirk was willing to go along with it. He saw an entirely new way to explore. And I really think that Kirk's passion as an explorer and his quest for knowledge really shines through here. His speech was great, although a little bit overacted. There was almost a childlike awe in his eyes. Thought that was very cool. So they go along with it. Henoch, who took over Spock, was a shady character who was jealous of Sargon and Thalassa. Obviously, he wanted to be with her. And Leonard Nimoy was brilliant. He made the switch to the new character perfectly. All three did a great job. I guess it would be the normal thing to do, but Sargon on Thalassa was a little too lovey-dovey for me. This highly advanced society was really not as advanced as they seem. Henoch had evil in his heart, and again, Nimoy portrayed this brilliantly. McCoy really shined in this episode. He was resolved to do what was right, and he never strayed. He stood up to Thalassa when she was demanding that he go against his convictions. There's no one who could do McCoy like DeForest Kelley. It's magical. This episode is a great example of the story not needing exciting action or sequences or special effects, pure science fiction. However, there are some areas of weakness. The ensemble literally are on screen for only moments. It was great to see Sulu, but you blink and miss him. Uhura has a screaming scene and a short scene at the beginning, and I honestly don't remember seeing Chekhov. Scotty had a little bit of a bigger part, and I'm very glad that they included him at the briefing where Kirk gave his speech. So I'm going to give this episode 4 out of 5 Starfleet insignias for awesomeness. It is a great story, it is well acted, but a sad lack of regular cast involvement. And that is it for this week's edition of Trek Mission Log. And I certainly hope that you enjoyed this video and that you enjoyed my analysis of it. Please feel free to drop a comment below and let me know how you feel about this episode. Next time, we're going to be looking at an episode titled Patterns of Force. It's going to be a good one, so don't miss it. Until then, live long and prosper.